Hi, everyone. Welcome to an all new episode of Equilibrium. I'm your host, Bria, and today I'm here with Alexzandra Denis. She's the owner of the natural skincare brand Avalah. Thank you for being here, Alexzandra.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. I love the setup. You're working.
This is the space.
This is where it
I love
happens.
it.
Tell me what your skincare routine is. Like every morning, do you have a routine that you stick to?
Oh, we gonna do that.
Oh,
No. I actually love that question because that is actually part of why I created Avala. I'm a very lazy skincare person, but I
mhm.
also am a Virgo, so I hate and West Indian, and I hate having like blemishes or spots or anything like that. But I also like 1, 2, 3 skincare. Like if you tell me
Mm.
step one, step two, step three, I'm like, I'm only gonna get through like one of those before I gotta get out the door.
It's overwhelming, right? I'm like, I don't have time for all of this, all the products.
No, none of
One,
that.
yeah.
So anything I'm looking for is usually like bam, bam, bam. And then for days where I'm taking care of myself, I will slow it down a bit. But I realize I only have like an hour and a half interval to do that. So I luxuriate and then it's like, okay, dry off, let's go. So every day is basically face wash, of course. Let's not be crazy. But I body butter my face, which a lot of people are like, what? And I'm like, I have
Ooh.
dry skin.
So you use like a body butter.
I use a body butter. So the body butter is a white shea butter, yellow shea butter, coconut oil, almond oil, and vitamin E, but I use just a little. So some people are like, oh, it's
Oh,
oily.
okay.
It's like
Okay.
use a tip and then you spread it out. And then when you feel your fingers dry, you take a little bit more and you spread it out some more. But in New York, with the wind and the harsh weather, you get like a nice, like, layer of protection against the cold. In the summertime, I use the body oil, which is also shea nut oil, but like light moisturizer. Sometimes I will forget to moisturize. And
Really?
oh yeah, 100%. Like if I have places to go,
Do you feel it at like throughout the day if you forget?
I
Yeah.
I never forget my face because my face gets like that cracky feeling.
Mhm.
But everywhere else, I'm like, okay, this is what's showing today. Okay. Summertime, I take way better care of my skin.
Right.
It's mostly because I'm in dresses and shorts and stuff. But I also always carry a travel size moisturizer. So even if I'm on the train, I can just do like a little and catch
Real quick.
places.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit weird that the person who loves to sell skincare, but it's just because of schedule. I'm a one
Yeah.
man, so it's not because I don't want to. I sugar scrub once a week. That I do not play with because I don't moisturize all the time. I want to get rid of as much dry skin as possible. But
Hmm.
even if you do moisturize every day, you should still be trying to get rid of whatever dry skin you have. I do like the Biore nose strips to get blackheads because I'm heavy on the black heads.
Hmm.
And then I think I don't always do it, but like every couple of months you should do like a microdermabrasion because it gives you like a fresh face. So if you're not gonna care for the rest of your body, at least take care of your face.
Right. Right.
And
That's what's
sunscreen,
going every day.
sunscreen, like just
Yeah.
because you have melanin doesn't mean that you will not have sunburn. I've experienced it on my shoulder. I didn't know what it was. I was in my late, probably early 30s, late 20s, the first time I had like an inkling of sunburn. And I was like, what's that? Why is it tingling?
I don't think I've ever seen it before. So my husband is white, and I was like, he got a sunburn once. I was like, I don't know. He was very red. And I was like, something's wrong with your skin. But I mean, I never paid attention to it. I don't know what it looks like.
My aunt. I love my aunt. And she's fairer than me. She's half and half. And which I didn't know because the white half was also West Indian. So I didn't even know. I was like,
Mm.
grandpa is just grandpa. But she was burned like a lobster when I was a kid. And they're like, she's sunburned. And I was just like, huh? And then, you don't really remember until you get older. And I'm like, oh, they meant her
Yeah.
skin burned.
Hmm.
But yeah, for me, I've never experienced it. And so one day I was in Mexico and I was just like, what is this? Like, why does it burn to touch? And then I was like, this is what they're always talking about. And I had no clue.
So do
So
you now always make sure to have sunscreen on if you're like going to be exposed?
yes, not always, but I definitely make sure I have it in my bag just in
Mhm.
case because I'm very spontaneous. So for me, I try to take my time off whenever I can. And it's like I'll leave a meeting and I'm like, oh, look, today the weather was nice. And I'm like, I'm gonna walk and get lunch instead of Uber eating it in. And I'm gonna enjoy the walk back to the studio. Well, now you've been exposed to the sun for 2 hours. You didn't realize that was happening. So just always keep it in like your bag, especially for like the beach or the park,
Mhm.
having that sort of stuff. And then also having like an all natural kind of balance to the SPF is helpful
Yeah.
if you don't carry full blown sunscreen.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So your brand, Avala, talk to me about the name. What does that mean?
So Avala was originally a clothing brand.
Hmm.
I worked in fashion for 10 years. So I thought, if I want to use creativity, I got to do what I'm already doing. And so we were going to use African prints with, but appropriate for like the corporate America. So it'll be a black dress with like a little splash of like an African print. And I was like, well, I'm not going to just take it. So I like, let's match the name back to the brand. And Avala means all natural and from the earth.
Mm.
And that was 2013 or 15, I believe. And then I gave up on that really like quickly because I did not go to fashion school. I went to business school. And I was just like, I can't pay for all of this like out of my pocket. No, this is taking too long. And I kind of like 6 months later, I stopped making clothing or trying to get that done. And
Mhm.
then 2018, I was like, oh, well, now I want to make an all natural skincare line. And then I was like, oh, you kind of still own the website. You still own the
Oh,
name, like, and it's still all natural. So
makes sense.
it in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it works, which I'm very grateful that something being all natural and authentic is important to me. So it can
Mhm.
work. No matter what brand I do, that's always gonna work.
That's always going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
A lot of your products have jojoba and shea and a lot of natural ingredients. How do you decide which ingredients you'll put in your products?
The trick is a lot of the ingredients I grew up with. And so the thought to me was things that I grew up with, but then elevating that. So when I was growing up, I grew up with yellow shea butter. I grew up with the jojoba. I grew up with Jamaican castor oil. But then it's like, well, what other materials are out there that I can use that other cultures might use to create this elevated product that is still from where I grew up, but also like gives you like an additional pow, like essential oils. Or I didn't grow up with amla oil. Amla oil is the oil from India. I didn't grow up with that. So it's just like, oh, that's, and Indian women were saying, we love this, this works, this is part of our culture. And I was like, well, let me add it to Jamaican castor oil, which is part of my culture, and like mix it together. So it was basically just taking what I grew up with and elevating it. And then a lot of the times I started out with like 4 products, and my customers were like, well, why don't you have something for men? And I was like, well, what do men need? And they're like, beard oil and beard balm. And I'm like, I guess I could see if I can make that. And then, it changed into, we want bigger candles. We want sugar scrub because in New York, we don't have, I started with bath salt and people were like, we want sugar scrub because we don't have, everybody doesn't have bathtubs in New York. And then people who don't live in New York were like, where's my bath salt? So I'm like, I guess I'm keeping both of those. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And 5 years later, I can't even remember how many versions of everything we have, but it's well over 84 sizes, scents.
84. All right.
Well
So,
over.
first of all, congratulations on 5 years in being in business. That's a great milestone. I mean, a lot of people cannot say that they've been in business for 5 years. So, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Um, you're on 84 products around. Do you plan on launching even more things?
Always. It always goes to like the need of what's current to the times, what people need, what people are looking for. And then I found that when I was growing up, all natural products had this stigma, like they don't necessarily smell good or they're not packaged in a luxury way. And so that's how I first started the premise. It was like my mom always shea buttered us down in junior high school for class. And I was just like, Mom, I smell like butter. And
Mhm.
when I became an adult, I was like, okay, the products work, but I'm an adult. I want to smell good. And so it was just adding in, like, I want to smell grown, adding in the essential oils, and then figuring out what configurations I wanted of the product, the texture, the feel. I always say I work from the way that I want the customer to feel, and then I work backwards from that. Um, and so even though we have candles and we have this and that, we do bridal showers, we do baby showers. So we make things smaller. We try to fit within people's budgets. We understand that, everybody doesn't have crazy thousands of dollars to give us gifts. I also work with hotels and airports to see where there's a need. And so right now I'm focusing heavily on classes for my customers so that they can have like luxury experiences and learn how to have those experiences curated in their own homes. as we continue to grow, we are able to do, because we are smaller, we are more flexible with sizes, scents. So for weddings and baby showers, we do different things, price points. And then I always try to figure out where there's a need or innovation. And so even for our shower steamers, I saw there were shower steamers on the market. They're different. They're different than ours. But then I was like, how do I make it a product with a purpose? And so menthol. And so I was like, oh, if I add menthol to it, now you turn it into like a breathing experience, an aromatherapy experience, opening up their sinuses, helping with allergies and asthma and things like that. So I always try to figure out like what is happening currently, how can we make it better, and how can we keep it all natural?
Wow. I mean, you were really paying attention to what your customers need.
100%. I mean, they're the most important piece of the
Yeah.
puzzle. Like I can come up with as many ideas as I want, but if the customers feel like they're dissatisfied, or if it's not something they need or they want to invest in, then there's a disconnect. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, it's not so much like, oh, I see somebody else doing something. It's like, does it make sense for Avalah? Does it make sense for where I want Avalah to go? Does it make sense for the stores that we're already in? Do I feel passionate selling it to other people? And is it something people even really want? You know, you can make a bunch of stuff and like, I think people might want this. It's like, but has anybody really asked for it? Or am I just projecting? And so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like want customers to tell me like, well, what do you want me to do next?
Mm-hmm.
And then I figure it out from there.
Makes sense. Wow. Okay. I want to know, so you mentioned that you're West Indian or have a West Indian background. Talk to me about growing up and just, who are you?
That's always the big question.
Who are
Am
you?
I? Who am I? So my mom was born in St. Vincent. My dad was born in Brooklyn, but he's of Haitian descent. He wasn't raised with the Haitian side of his family, so I don't know a lot about it, but I definitely rep. But I was definitely raised on the Vincentian side. So culturally, it was a mix between being a kid from Brooklyn, first generation, and then also making sure that I appreciate and love where my family comes from. So that's always been like that complex balance of your hoodie says Brooklyn, but then when people ask, you're from St. Vincent. And then also there's the other layer of, Haiti. And like, I don't really know how to rep that, but I'm not proud of it. I'm super proud of that as well. And then just realizing how I can help out those communities with my company, all of them, like St. Vincent, Haiti, the West Indies, the Caribbean, and Brooklyn. And so it's really been important for my brand to be a Brooklyn-based brand because that's where I was raised. And there I learned about how to be a West Indian in Brooklyn in Little Caribbean. So it's always like this amazing combination of like so confusing but so meshed so well together that it's and then it brings you this uniqueness. So there's uniqueness to the brand where it's taking components of Himalayan sea salt from Thailand and shea butter from Ghana, and you just bring like all these worlds together to make this amazing product. And then growing up in Brooklyn, it was a crazy life because a lot of times if I went to a school that did not have a lot of West Indian kids, I was bringing food that people were like, what's that? The first time I found out what oxtail was, I was devastated. Oxtail was my
Oh, you
favorite.
didn't know.
I didn't know because it was called oxtail. I never thought about it. And then somebody says to me, so you're eating a cow's tail? And I was like,
Am I?
I guess I am. And my mom was like, yeah, what did you think I was saying? I was like, I never really put two and two together.
Yeah, but it's good.
Delicious. I still eat it to this day. And then when the prices rose, and I was like, "Oof, I'm going back to beef patties."
Right,
Um,
right.
but it was like it's an amazing experience, and to be able to share parts of my culture and parts of the culture that I grew up with people through my brand is amazing. And building a company based on routines that I grew up with. My mom was big on Saturdays are for you to deep condition your hair, hot oil treatment, cook food. We do grocery shopping, and then we go out and we have fun. And then Sundays you go to church, and after that you can come home and relax. And then Mondays you start your week fresh with a clean house, clean clothes, and keep going. So having a brand that encompasses some of the things that I learned always makes me really proud. And my mom always had some sort of all natural treatment for every little ailment we got. So my sister me and my sister would crawl on the floor as we get dark knees. And my mom was like, lemon, soak in the tub with lemons on your knees.
Is
And
that the trick?
that's the trick. So lemon lightens everything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I wanted to dye my hair, and my mom wouldn't let me use chemicals because she's, all about all natural. And she was like, just put some lemon juice in your hair and you'll be fine. I'm like, my hair's black. Like, how am I gonna? And it did work. I mean, it didn't work as well as dyeing. Eventually I just turned into an adult and I dyed my hair.
Right.
But as a kid, she was like,
Give
you
me
put
the chemicals.
like, I'm sorry, mom. Like, let's go half and half on this one.
Right.
But yeah, I did, lemons help with, if you have dark elbows or knees. Sugar scrub is really good if you have dry skin or if you start getting pimples to like clear your skin. She always had like some sort of concoction for everything. And so I take a little bit of that and I put it into the brand that I build.
I like that. And it's so rare when you see, a Black owned brand that is in the natural health, health space and skin space. What does it mean to you that you have such a successful brand as a Black woman in this space?
Oh, heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's like it's nowhere near what I ever thought it would be. When I started Aval, it was just like I was in corporate America. I was working for, in the fashion industry for a well-known corporate brand, and I was doing product development. I just felt so unappreciated. And I was just like thinking like, oh my gosh, if you ever want to make like a simple $100,000 a year, you got to do this for like another 5 years. You're like 30 something years old. By the time you hit 100,000, I'm not saying that's the goal, but it was just like the amount of work and energy. I'm not talking about like I work 9 to 5. I'm talking about I work like 6 to 9. And I was just like and you get a salary, you don't get hourly. So it was just like the amount of energy I was putting into creating someone else's dream, or the amount of energy I was using to be heard in rooms that didn't want to hear me. It was sometimes like devastating. There were times where I would say, hey, that's going to be a problem. Like product development, you tell people when a problem's about to happen or you foresee a problem. Like that was my whole career, 10 years of doing that. And I would say, I foresee a problem. And they would be like, shh, no, we don't. And I'd be like, okay, but guess what happens when the problem does happen? Then it's like, why didn't you tell us? Or how are you going to solve it? And I'm like, how? And solve it now. It's urgent. I'm like, but I told you 6 months ago. And so just not being heard in those rooms and being the only one in those rooms. And even for the brands that I work for, they were luxury brands. And so just me having like wild and crazy hair or wanting to wear colors or the way that I laughed would get people like, do you really have to laugh that loud? I'm like, the joke was funny. And then even community work, like they did community work, but it was not necessarily always my community. Or when it was my community, it was kind of like, we'll come and help you, and then we're going back. Like, there's no like, now we're connected, let's move forward. It was like, we'll come help you, we're gonna leave. Like, we did our part, we feel good now. Like, and it was just really important to build a brand that encompassed all of that. It wasn't just me building me. It was also like, well, if I want to really leave something, an impact in the world, if I really want to leave something for my kids, if I really want to help out my community, how can I do that? And in my head, it was, I'm going to work in corporate, I'm going to retire from corporate, but then I'll have Avalah on the side. And so Avalah was never supposed to be the main thing. It was just like, of course not. Like, we're just going to put you to the side and we'll work on you when we can. And then the more I worked on it, the more I kept going. And I was just like, okay, so now I'm overworked. And I did that for a year. And then they asked for more hours at the full-time job. And Avalah asked for more hours. And eventually, the year before COVID happened, and Avalah became full-time. And I was just, the December before COVID was actually full-blown announced. Like, we heard something was happening overseas, but when Avalah went full-time, it was December. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to look for a new job. I'm going to work on Avalah and see what happens if I put that full-time. And then all of a sudden, I was just like, oh my gosh, go look for a full-time job, go look for a full-time job. And then I was like, no, we're going to have faith, and we're going to suck it up. And, you get unemployment, you get like a little side cash, you have your little money, you got your little, I was like, okay, let's just keep going. And here we are. I think, was it 2 years, 3 years now?
3, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's been full-time, and it hasn't really slowed down since.
Getting only better because you're in airports now, hotels.
And it's really crazy because it doesn't feel, I was telling someone that was my coworker from the fashion industry, and I was like, I don't feel any different. Like, I don't, you would think like the person who's at an airport and a hotel, like not any regular hotel, like a good hotel. Like they change the sheets, and like you would think, like my head would be like, woo, and it's like, no, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? How can I help? Where can I go? What can I do? And that takes a toll. And so every once in a while, I try to remind myself to like appreciate where I've come from, where I've come, because I did not expect it to be what it is today. But it's like, girl, you've been in Cosmo, you've been in Fashionista, you've been in Harper's. Like I don't even chime up. My friends will go out and they'll be like, she's been in Cosmo, she's been Harper, and I'm like, shh. Today's an Alexandra Denis day, not an Avalah day.
Yeah, you're so humble and so friendly.
Thank you. I appreciate that one more. Humble, I'm like,
All these amazing things that you're doing. I want to know what's next for Avalah.
I always thought I knew where the brand was gonna go, and then like the hotel and the airport and all we saw in the Virgin Islands now. Like I never really thought about all these things, so I never planned too far ahead for where it's going to go. Currently, I want a physical location because I really want to bring experiences and community events into that location in a luxury style. I want people to be able to walk into the store and feel appreciated. And I love watching customers go through testers and they're like, sorry, I'm trying so many testers. And I'm like, no, I'm a kid in the candy store watching you do it. Like, this is awesome because you haven't lost. If something stunk, you'd be like, you'd walk away. So to watch you, like, I'm having a hard time picking which one I like, that makes me feel, all my hard work isn't like for nothing. So I would love to have a physical location and expand the brand in a luxury way where all people are welcome and all people they feel like they're being treated special, and it's still low key, nothing crazy, nothing like bougie, but and then also to be able to do community events where people can gather together and get knowledge, whether it be about starting a small business or mental health or women with mommy and me groups or whatever, or massages. And then in the future I would love to have an Avalah spa, like a whole, like, I know, like a whole, that's like honestly the end goal that I see.
Yeah.
But like you said, you never know. I mean, Avalah was just supposed to be a brand that you use at home for self-care if you can't get to the spa. And then COVID happened and you really couldn't get to the spa. And now we're at airports and hotels. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna stop guessing what we're gonna do next and just let it happen.
Oh my gosh. That's so exciting that you even are able to say that. Like you don't know what's going to happen next, all these amazing things that you've already done. I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Tell me, what is your most popular product and why?
Oh, so our products are seasonal. So right now it's about to be shimmer body oil season. They go crazy for the shimmer, but I can't stop making. I literally am sitting here.
How do you make it shimmer if it's natural?
It's all natural. It's mica, so it's crushed rocks.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And we have gold and we have a bronze. The gold one has citronella in it, so the citronella helps keep away mosquitoes as well.
I need that.
And people go crazy for it in the summer. And then I used to stop selling it in the wintertime, but then people were like, no, we still want it in the wintertime. I'm like, what are you shimmering in the winter? They don't care. And therefore I don't care. I will sell it all year round if you want.
What the customer wants, yeah.
Who am I? Like, the whole brand is what you guys want. I mean, God knows I don't moisturize enough.
We covered that.
Like, they're like, I put this on every day. I put it on. They're like, should I put it on my face? I'm like, I don't put it on my face. I put it on my face. I'm like, you tell me how you use it. Like, have fun. I don't care. Like, as long as you enjoy it. That was the whole purpose. Wintertime and people have eczema, the body butter is really popular. The consistency is very thick, so it's really great at moisturizing super dry skin. So I used to offset it with the body butter. I would sell heavily in the winter, and then the shimmer I would sell heavily in the summer. But now people seem to just be like, we don't care if it's winter or summer, we want everything all the time, all the way. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll just
keep selling it,
keep doing it. And then the shower steamers, I've been selling them for a year now.
And shower
steamers with the menthol in them, and they've been doing really well. And then those are sold in the Virgin Islands. They're sold here, and people just love them, so they can have like a spa experience, or if you have asthma or allergies or sinus problems. And those have been starting to take off. They're just like really hard to make. But
I definitely need to pick up all of these products because my skin is always dry. Tell people Tell people about your website, how they can find you, and how they can get your products.
Sure. The website is www.avalah.com, AVALAH. Follow us on any social media platform. We have Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and it's Avalah Beauty. And then if you want to buy the products, you can buy it on the website. If you are in any place of the spaces that sell our products, I would love for people to go and support those small businesses as well. Because when you buy my products from the small businesses, they reorder from me, keeps it going, even though, gotta split money, but we gotta keep the community going. We gotta keep the money circulating.
Exactly. In the right community.
So I would love if you see a store online and you're close to it, then you can just go there and purchase it too.
I love it. I have a lot of shopping to do. Thank you, Alexzandra. It was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
So nice meeting you. Thank you for the interview. I love a good interview.
Girl, you were, so great. Thank you.
Positive energy.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next episode.